I'm all about peaceful protesting.
Yes.
That's it. Like, once you start doing like unnecessary shit, like breaking and looting and all that, like, nah, that's unnecessary. Like, that's.
I'm not with that.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, you think about Minneapolis, where if you're gonna break a Target don't care. Target has insurance.
No. Hell yeah.
They're gonna be like, yeah, go right ahead. They're gonna get more money that way.
Fuck.
But then, like my wife was talking about how if you do that, it's messed up because now you're doing it within your community, right? The people that work there live in your community. Now they all are losing their jobs, right? And like I just told you a minute ago, if you want to hurt them, you hurt them where it hurts the most, which is their pockets. Welcome back to another ALV podcast.
What up?
Follow us on Instagram at podcast ALV.
And to check out the YouTube videos, click the link in the bio to check out the full videos. Also, we're on Apple Podcasts, and Spotify Podcasts.
Now we're on Spotify.
Yeah, so
it's not bad.
Check
and
us
SoundCloud.
out.
All you have to do is go to our website, ALVpodcast.com, where you can check out all the episodes, including the YouTube videos. And here we go.
Here we go. We got our special guest here.
Jose.
Jose.
Welcome
To the ALV family. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Jose.
Well, about me, I'm Dominican.
There you go.
Prior police officer.
Okay.
Military. So I got a little bit about everything.
Perfect.
Red Sox fan, which we don't like, but
Red Sox, no Patriots.
Oh, cringing.
We all right, you probably a Falcons fan.
No, I'm actually a Bears fan.
And I'm a Jets fan.
That's even a little bit worse.
So we know already why. Patriots all the way.
Lord. So tell us a little bit about your background, because I remember we were talking earlier today, and you're in the Navy. How long have you did you serve?
Well, I served for 8 years active, 6 reserve, and police officer for 2 years, firefighter about 10 years.
Nice.
And you're still doing that now, right?
Yes, I am. Been to Afghanistan, Bahrain, Kuwait, you name it.
Nice.
So you have a lot in common with
Yeah,
over here.
yeah, definitely. Military fam. You saying that you were in law enforcement, you spent a little while in law enforcement. How do you feel about what's going on right now with the whole George Floyd situation?
We'll get right into it.
Yeah,
let's get to it.
There's a lot to talk about.
Yeah,
It is. As a minority myself,
You can say anything.
I feel it's fucked up.
Yeah.
As a prior law enforcement police officer, I would have never done that. That motherfucker should get charged with murder.
Right.
And there's no in between about that. And that's what it is.
Do you feel like, I don't know, I like me looking at the whole situation and, everything that went on, watching the video and how everything, came to be, escalated. In the military, we're always taught escalation of force, you know what I mean? Like, there's steps to get to some, form of lethal force, you know what I mean? But there's steps before that for you to de-escalate the situation to a point where you can take control and, mitigate the situation. I feel like in this case, there was no such thing. Like, it just went to, even just being a regular person, you should be conscious to the fact that if you have your fucking knee on somebody's neck, especially in their airway, you're gonna cut that off and eventually the person's gonna pass out. You're gonna cut off oxygen to the brain.
Let's be honest, law enforcement background, handcuffs on, hands off.
I agree with
So simple as that.
that. Yeah,
Once the
absolutely.
handcuffs are on, hands off.
Right.
So he should have known better. Not
I
only
agree.
that, his knee was on his neck.
Mm-hmm.
His hands were in his freaking pockets.
Yep.
And
It's almost like an enjoyment.
plain as
Yeah.
fuck, he didn't give a fuck.
He didn't
Yeah.
give a fuck.
So like I spoken to my boys or whatever that are still law enforcement, and he was dead ass wrong.
Yeah.
So there's no in between. So I'm not gonna sit here and justify anything he did,
Right.
because there's no justification for what he did.
Exactly. And I feel like now, him, yes, having his knee on George's neck was completely wrong, but at the same time, George was already handcuffed. He was on the floor. He was, he couldn't really do anything because you had two other guys on top of him. So technically there was three guys on top of him, with one having his knee on his fucking neck. So at that point, there is no threat. No, the guy is handcuffed. You got three motherfuckers on him, and one which is like on his neck, and at that point you should be, your conscience would be like, okay, well, let me let off a little bit. The guy is it's not a threat to us anymore. He's in handcuffs. He's down on the ground. I don't know the protocol for you guys, but I mean, at that point, he's already subdued. You know what I mean? There is no other, there's no other way for him to do anything else besides, okay, let's put him in the fucking car and, let's do our business, whatever you guys do after that.
That's a good question, what you just said. Well, first I wanted to say thank you for joining us.
Absolutely.
Because I feel that everyone that listens to us, especially what's going on, it's coincidentally now, he's snoring. It's coincidentally now that everything that's going on within society, it's good to have a law enforcement presence that is okay opening up to express the truth, express the proper protocols, which we'll get into in a second, and just kind of, if someone hears it, they'll be able to believe it more than it's just coming from an average Joe.
Yeah, just like our point of view.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've been there, done that. In protocol, once handcuffs are on, hands are off.
Would you leave them there, on the floor?
No.
Or you put them in the back?
First of all, he should have been in the back because, when they took him out his car, they put him to the side, he already had handcuffs on.
Yeah.
So there's no resisting arrest, police report or whatever was saying.
Right.
I wasn't there, so I couldn't
Yeah.
attest to that. But as far as experience-wise, handcuffs on, hands off. That means there's no resisting no more.
Right.
So once you handcuff, you put them in the car,
That's it.
just keep it moving.
Yeah, I think, what was it, the reason why they said it was something with fraudulent checks or?
Yeah, that was
the allegation.
that was
the
it
bill.
was.
Yeah,
It
that
was.
was the call.
Yeah.
The
It
call was that he was paying with a fraudulent, either cash or check or something like that. So the person, who owned the business was like, I'm gonna call the police and yada yada. But as you see in the videos that they've been out, George did not resist arrest. He was handcuffed. They put him over, next to a wall or whatever, and they were hang on here. Another cop car pulls up, and then you just see the situation go downhill from there.
It escalated.
Yeah, escalated extremely quickly without him resisting.
And the thing is, it was George, and then he had a passenger
Yeah,
with him.
Yeah.
Which
yeah.
nobody talked about.
Yeah, that's true.
I wasn't there, but looking at the videos, it was a passenger. He got out the car. Somebody else was, another officer was talking to him. George came out. He already had handcuffs. That's when they set him down.
Mm-hmm.
So it was never no resisting. So it bothers me to the point where that's murder. This
Yeah,
guy,
absolutely.
me as a cop, if I see that, that's a no-no.
Yeah.
So
I mean, he had his knee on his neck. The man was saying, "I can't breathe." He said it 15 times, if I'm correct. He said it 15 times. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I mean, at some point, you being conscious, you being a human being, like, aside from being a police officer, aside from, carrying a badge, carrying a gun, you're conscious, like, oh my God, this guy can't breathe. Let me take my fucking knee off his neck. There's other tactics that could be applied that, to subdue the person, but he was already in handcuffs. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, the guy's telling you he's on the ground, his face is on the pavement, he's telling you he can't breathe. At what point do you realize, oh shit, I might kill this dude, let me fucking take my knee off his fucking neck? Because you're cutting off the airway to his goddamn brain.
But I'll be honest, as an officer, you get taught, you get pressure points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The neck is not one of them.
It's not?
It's not.
Mm.
They tell you,
That's
why
off
we don't.
limits.
Yes, that's why you don't choke anybody.
Right.
In the academy, you go through the training, it's off limits. So what he did is
I believe it was Philando Castile, the one that they choked out.
Yes, and he was big. He was
in New York, big guy.
Cigarettes and stuff.
And it was like for the cigarettes, he was like supposedly just selling.
No. I think Philando Castillo was the one that got shot.
No, that was the one that got shot. Yes,
Yeah.
he's the one that got shot like 16 times.
Gardner was the one that got choked out.
That's right. My
Philando
apologies.
Castillo.
Both of them were both fucked up.
Yeah.
Philando Castillo was another one that was, they asked him for his license.
That's
but
right.
they
that's
know
right,
you
that's
can
right.
reach,
But the problem that I have with that, I know it's a little side note. It's tough. The problem I have with that
this is a tough one, man.
is the fact that, like, Liz and I talked about it before. Where like he had, if I'm not mistaken, he had his girlfriend in the passenger seat. He had his daughter in the back seat, right?
No. His girlfriend was driving. He was in the passenger.
Yes.
seat.
Yeah.
But
His
I
daughter was in
believe
the
when
back.
you listen to the 911, he explained to the cop, "Hey,
I got carriers.
I have a carrier's permit. I'm going to get my license."
He did.
And he explained it slowly.
He did.
And it was immediately like, he's got a gun.
Yes.
And I think that's that's tough because it's like boom, 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 and you can hear it.
But that plays into it's not even police training because we all train the same.
Mm-hmm.
But it comes more to cultural awareness.
Mm.
Yes.
And
yes,
that's what
I
a
agree
lot
with
of
that.
police officers don't have.
Yes. Absolutely.
Or not a lot, a few don't have. We hear about the few, that are culturally unaware of what's going on. A lot of them, one of my academy guys, young guy, white guy, he was aware of what's going on, and he was into, Black, Spanish, he loved different, I guess.
Love the culture.
He was culture aware.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's where it comes back to. You have a lot of guys that are not culture aware
I agree.
of what's going on. They get that badge, I'm God, which you are, in a sense.
They think they're above the law in a nutshell.
I wouldn't say above the law, but when you have that badge, let's be honest. Some police officer, in a sense, they are God. Because guess what? If I charge you with something, once you get charged, you're done.
Yep. It's your word against theirs.
And they're not aware of that. And that's the fucked up part about it.
Right. I agree. I think, like you said, what lacks in a lot of police officers, especially police officers who are in areas where they're not accustomed to, or where they're not, like you said, culturally aware, culturally, educated, they're gonna feel, in some ways, I guess, in harm's way. Because they're not used to that area. They're not used to that culture. They're not used to that environment. And at the same time, not to justify anything,
not at all.
in any way, but I feel like you said, it's that cultural awareness. If you're not aware of like what these people are going through, like what their everyday life is. You know, as a police officer, I feel like, you know, you take an oath to protect and serve the community that you are in charge of. You know what I mean? That you are in charge of patrolling, let's say, beats that they call them. If you're not aware of like the culture that's in that area, of like what's going on, what the history is in that area, so on and so forth, I feel like it's difficult for those police officers to kind of like take that mental mindset and be like, okay, I'm aware of what's going on. Maybe I should handle things differently than, you know, I would in a different area. You know what I mean? And I feel like they're not thinking that way. I feel like it doesn't have anything to do with training, because like you said, everyone trains the same. But at the same time, if they're not getting that cultural awareness, that cultural like, hey, check this out, like you guys are in this certain area, this is, you know, that history, that culture, that, you know, that these people take to heart, you know, that's their life, that's their lifestyle. If they're not respecting that, they're not like actually looking into that, they're gonna feel in some ways attacked by the way, you know, some people are living, and so on and so forth.
I'll be honest, you know, we talking about, you know, cultural awareness, and it's not one way. You got, you know, African Americans, you got Latinos, you know, that they're not in that environment.
Right.
They grow up different, then they get put in that environment, you know, culturally, we're brainwashed to think one way. So, you know,
It's programming.
you know,
It's the best way.
I'm not gonna say, you know, we all in a way bias.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, me and you know, we get put somewhere, you see, you know, 2 black guys or 5 Latinos coming, you're gonna be like, oh, you're gonna keep your guard up.
It's the what they call
Stereotype.
the clinch your purse.
Stereotype, yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody does that, though.
You know,
I mean, everybody.
You know, so I don't want people to think, you know, otherwise.
Right.
But that's how we program. Even though they ain't gonna cause any type of harm to you, but you still program to
mindset.
think, you know, that mindset, like you said. Oh, you're gonna think something negative.
Yeah, it's always that first thing, as opposed to, you know, not taking it for granted, but like, you know, seeing what's gonna happen first. Like my mama would always call it like the clinch your purse mentality.
Yeah.
Because like, you know, like you might see it and all of a sudden you'll clinch. Like I'll give you an example. Like in New York, you know, I only know my mom being mugged twice.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
And both times were
Funny
with
story.
two, you know, white guys just coming at her and boom, snatching. But it's like every time now that she sees 2 people, it's programmed in her head where she'll like clinch. You know, this was years later.
Yeah.
So you look at it like what you're explaining, that's only like, for, in my opinion, and what we talked about, that's only a portion of it. If you get somebody who was raised in the suburbs, he becomes a cop, he's all excited, or he's all gung-ho, right? And now you put him in the hood, that's a completely different mentality. And the thing is, one of the things that you see that has going on like on Instagram that are like quote unquote memes, where it's like, it's saying racism is not becoming more, it's just being recorded.
Yeah.
Right? Because in the past 10 years ago, less than 15 years ago, you know, cell phones weren't as big as it is now. So now it's easier for somebody to instantly whip out their phones, you know, and start instantly recording. That's the first mentality to do. So now it's easier for somebody to catch somebody in the act, right? So in truth, you could actually see, because there's so many videos out, you could see the difference between somebody who's you know, programmed of not being in that environment, and somebody who's potentially a suspected white supremacist. Because like, it could go either way with what just happened with Floyd. Because if no one knew the backstory and you saw it, you could be like, okay, like you said, if you're holding somebody's, if you are literally just relaxed and your knee is purposely there, right, and this person's telling you, I can't breathe, you can instantly be like, okay, the intent is that he wants to do harm,
Yeah.
flat out. And there's a lot of other videos that have happened where you can tell, no, they want to do harm. If it's a female you're holding down, which the female's handcuffed, and you start swinging at them for no reason when they're not moving, that's you telling me you want to do bodily harm, and that's purposeful, right? And if that's the case, and you tell me I'm not a racist, no, dude, you're a fucking racist. I'm sorry, right? But then again, we'll kind of switch back to it. But in the case of Floyd, like we showed you, like all this information started coming out now where they potentially knew each other.
Yeah.
Like to me, that's huge.
Yeah, I saw that.
Because it's like, if no one knew that and you looked at it, yes, it would look like he wants to intentionally harm. But now it's like, hold on, all these big pictures start coming out where they worked in the same spot, right? And the owner of the restaurant that's a Satch Club that hired both of them knew both of them. Now you start questioning, like, what was the actual reasoning behind the intent to kill this person?
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
And I
that becomes
feel
a-
like, in a sense, they talked about how this officer, I forget his name, he had a history of bad,
getting write-ups and stuff.
reports and all this
I
other
think he
stuff.
had 18.
Yeah, he had shot somebody. He had, he was involved in like a crash and like shooting other people or whatever. And he had a bad rap sheet. So to me, it's like, I understand because I studied criminal justice that in the police force you have a code where you basically you protect your brothers no matter what. It's kind of like in the military. You know what I mean? But to what extent is that allowed to kind of what is the word I'm looking for? Kind of to what extent is that allowed to project to what you're actually doing on the field, and whether it's right or wrong?
Do you think it's fear? Like I agree. I hear what he's talking about.
For the average person, I believe it's fear, because you see a police officer, you see a badge, you see a uniform, and you automatically think, oh shit, let me do the right thing because I don't want to go to jail, or oh shit, let me do the right thing because I don't want to get a fucking ticket. You know what I mean? Or I don't want them to approach me because if they approach me, it's for obviously not a good reason.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So for the average mindset, I feel like that plays a big part of it in how they react to like a police presence.
Don't look at it that way, honestly. You there to protect and serve. So you're not gonna turn your back. Like this officer with the case that's going on right now. As an officer, I would have stood up and be like, yo, get
You're
your
talking
ass
about
up.
with Floyd.
With Floyd,
Okay.
yeah. Get your ass up. I would have taken it. As a citizen, I would have been like, citizens arrest. I would have said something.
Can you explain that actually? Because I would love
Yeah.
for people to hear. Because the thing is that like he kind of mentioned a little bit and he touched on it, where I always feel that there's a lot of people who don't know law, obviously, right? And we can talk more about it obviously later, but one of the biggest things, like if, God forbid, like if I was with my friend or somebody was with their friend that's hearing this and something popped off, like what could that friend do? Is there anything, or what can they do to either help if they see that this situation happening? Obviously, recording is the best that you can do, as well as other things.
It is. And then the main thing is, as a citizen, we all should know the law.
Right.
Yes.
That's the main thing. Know your laws. Then beyond that, just because you're a police officer doesn't mean you know it all.
Yeah.
As a citizen, you have the same right as a police officer, believe it or not.
It's true. We pay, aren't we their bosses? Because our tax money goes to, there's something about, I forgot what it was, that because they are hired by their
county
boss,
or
their
the
county,
state
and
or whatever.
then our taxes go to that.
You could say that, but technically, you could say that about anything.
True.
The president, we pay for the president to be, our leader.
That is true.
So,
However you might feel about him or not, but
yeah, so you can't really say that. Yes, they work for us. We're here to represent the community. We're here for the community.
mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you got to know your laws. Like, let's say you get pulled over. Police officer tell you, oh, let me search your car. You can say no.
Yeah.
Is there a proper way to handle that? Let's say.
Me personally, when I get pulled over now, I'm not a cop anymore. I put my windows down. I pull over, officer will pull me over. Here goes my license. Registration, most of the time they already know if
Exactly.
you're
Yeah.
registered or not. Insurance, they already know.
Mhm.
Especially here in Georgia.
It's all electronic.
You just need
It's
your
all
driver's
electronic.
license.
So you
That's
just give
all
me,
I have.
your driver's license.
And your weapons permit if you have them.
If you do have a gun, you can tell them I got a gun in the car. Believe it or not, you're allowed to have a gun even if you don't have a carrier's permit.
True.
In your car?
Yes.
In Georgia,
That's
you're allowed
considered an extension of your house.
to. Yeah.
But it's got to be locked up, right?
No. It could be like in my
You can have
truck.
it right here
Yeah.
on your freaking lap.
That's true.
Really?
Yes.
In Georgia?
Yes.
Because you got to remember, it's a concealed permit license, meaning
Well, yeah, you
concealed
conceal.
only on
Right.
here.
Right.
If it's in your
Okay.
car, you could be
But
driving to a gun range.
Well, side note, what I had understood from, hearing people talk, that the only way you could carry a gun on your car, on your vehicle, in your vehicle, is if it was either in your glove box or in your center console.
That was back in the
tucked
day.
away.
Nowadays, the car is considered an extension of your home,
Right.
which means you can have it wherever you want.
Uh,
And like you said, you have a up and carry here in Georgia.
yeah.
So you could have your gun as long as it's shown.
Right.
You can carry it.
Hmm.
You don't need a license for that. Police officers cannot approach and say, "Let me see your."
But it happens all the
permit.
time anyway.
Well, they're not supposed to.
Yeah.
Like you said, have your phone recorded.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if you ain't got nothing to fear, just me
Yeah,
personally,
yeah,
I roll my windows down.
I keep
all
my
of
hands
them.
on the steering wheel. Yep.
Yeah, make it
As
safe for
easy,
him.
yeah.
Right.
And make it as easy as possible so there's no reason, because it's the concept of probable cause, I guess, right? If you have the stuff rolled up, but if you have everything rolled down, then you have no probable cause because you're not hiding anything.
But as an officer, believe it or not, traffic stop is the most deadly one.
Yes.
So when you approach a vehicle and you're trying to hide like things, like putting your window halfway down or whatever you might be doing, I can't see.
Yeah.
So as I'm approaching you, I'm gonna approach you differently.
Exactly.
That's why I just put my windows down. Hey, officer, how you doing? Blah blah blah, whatever. He asked me for whatever, I have it out. If you have a weapon, officer, I got a weapon in the car. Just let him know.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the things that you see a lot, and as much as you hate to say it, but a lot of times the rules are not always for everyone.
It ain't.
In a sad type of scenario.
Necessarily, because for an assault rifle, you don't need a permit to own an assault rifle.
No, I have one. I don't have a permit.
You don't need a permit. Like you said, it's only for concealment.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to conceal, then yeah, you have to have a permit because people don't know if you're carrying shit or not. You know what I mean? But even then, for a rifle, you're allowed to have a rifle at the age of 18. You know what I mean? An assault rifle or any kind of fucking.
Can you walk around with it though?
You can walk around with it, no problem.
Open carry.
Open carry. It all depends on the state law.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, know your law if you're gonna do some shit like that. Know your local law if you're gonna do some shit like that. But I feel like a lot of people, in a sense, are. I understand. Yeah, it's anger, it's frustration, because it keeps happening to African Americans, where those are the people that are getting killed by police officers, especially white police officers. and it's like, you know, obviously people are frustrated. They're like, you know, it's like you said earlier, it's not that racism is increasing, it's racism is being exposed now because people are recording this shit.
Because like, what do you want me to do?
Exactly. So, but I mean, it doesn't have to go to that extent, and it goes back to being culturally aware of, you know, for officers that are in the field to know their surroundings and know their beats, their areas that they're patrolling, and be culturally aware of those areas. Because I feel like officers are being put out, like especially in major cities, you know, New York City, for example, it's one where it's got the biggest police force in the entire nation, you know, and they just like, okay, you're hired on, and they just throw you wherever, you know what I mean? And it's like, you don't know where the fuck you're gonna land. So you can end in a you know, whatever neighborhood, you can end up in another neighborhood. But if you don't know like the culture of that neighborhood, the culture of the area, then how do you know how to patrol properly? You know what I mean? I don't know, but that's just my mindset.
No. Like me personally, you know, I was traveling down to Florida.
Mm-hmm.
I went to a rest stop. You know, I was a cop at the time. I had my son with me, so we went to the bathroom. He was little, so I carried him. So my gun was, you know, kind of sticking out.
Exposed, yeah.
Next thing I know, I'm coming to my car. I see 2 police cars. Well, first of all, one of them came, and then another one comes up. And all they tell me, "Oh, put your hands up."
What?
Yes.
Yeah.
I put my hands on, like, what the heck is going on? Oh, we got a call. African American man went into the rest stop.
Get the fuck out of here.
You know, and I'm like, what the, you know.
Wow.
Then
You'd be like, I'm not African, I'm Dominican.
Yeah.
you know, I put my hands up, put my hands in the trunk.
Right.
He comes, you know, I gotta take your weapon off. I'm like, okay, that's cool. You know, he take my weapons off or whatever. He ended up calling, you know, back to GA and verifying I'm a cop.
Right.
I have my badge, I got my ID. He didn't take that. He was white. Then I'm talking, the other one that came up, he was Haitian, black. So I'm talking to him, you know, he's just telling me, you know, just chill.
Right.
It's all good. You be alright. But this guy, he made a big ass scene. Oh, you should know better. I'm like, what the fuck you mean I should know better? Fucking carrying my son. It's not like I was walking around with my gun out.
Yeah, waving it.
Right. Yeah.
You know, so.
And that's where it becomes. It's like
crazy.
to me, that's. I'm sure you and I'm sure
that would
you
have
have
pissed
more
me
stories.
the fuck
Oh, I was
off,
pissed.
bro. That would have
I was
pissed me
pissed.
off.
How many people do you
I'd
think
have
have
fought
stories
that
like
dude.
that? You
I
know.
was
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot
definitely.
of cops that, you know.
Yeah, it does get frustrating because like we talked a lot on previous podcasts about systemic racism and things that you see that happens in society, but it only happens to one specific race. You know, being Latino, we may not see it as much. It's more about ignorance towards us. But then people who are darker melanated people that are black, you know, see something completely different, and they're deeper in the hole to try to get out. And then you have a lot of people who happen to be white that are like, oh, it's not a big deal. It's like, no, you step in their shoes one day and you do it. I respect cops. You know, like I truly respect what they do and what they stand for.
Absolutely.
But obviously there's gonna be a few that, like they always talk about, they're the bad apples,
The bad
right?
apple.
But then I always say that if you know that person's doing it, it makes you a bad apple. You're just as bad as they are for not doing anything, right? But then at the same time, right, you have these opportunities where, like, it gets frustrating where you see that there's this justification or this divide, right? And it's like, you know, for what?
Right.
You know, and there's a root to everything.
Yeah.
And there's always a root to, like, where does that stem from? Where does it cause from?
But
Well, you
then-
see it
then
more,
that.
you know, because it's like a trend, I guess. You know? So it's all about a trend. So, you know, Black Lives came out. So Blue Line came out, so all your cops or affiliates start posting their Blue Line. So that's why you probably thought, oh, this came out because of this.
Yeah, I would say.
It's been around for a while.
You know, I feel like a lot of people turn a blind eye to the fact that police officers are human beings. You know what I mean? I feel like, like I said, not to justify what's going on, what's happening and everything, but, I have friends, ex-Marines, who are now police officers, African American. And I actually messaged one of my friends and I was like, hey, bro, I'm like, who happens to be African American, who's a police officer in, I believe I think it's Louisiana or something like that. And I was like, hey, bro, I'm like, how you doing? How you holding up with everything and everything that's going on? And he's like, man, he's like, me. He's like, I'm, good guy and everything. I'm like, yeah, bro. I'm like, you're my boy. Like, I've known you for years, whatever. He was an EMT before he was a police officer and everything. And I'm like, how's everything like going on? He's like, honestly, it's frustrating, man. He's like, because people don't see a person anymore. He's like, if you throw on that uniform, you throw on that badge, that's all they see. He's like, they don't give a fuck if, you got a life, you got a wife and kids, whatever the case may be. He's like, all these people are looking at now because of those few bad apples is a badge and a fucking uniform. He's like, if you're wearing that badge and that uniform, you're the enemy, basically. You know what I mean? And I'm like, fuck. I'm like, I can see how that can be tough. I'm like, that's like a real tough scenario right now for like, police officers who just trying to do their job, who just out there, trying to do good for the community and everything. And, they're getting shitted on for the actions of some fucking racist fuck with a badge and a gun. You know what I mean? Who just because of his ignorance, he decided to do what he did. And I'm like, I feel for you, bro. I'm like, I'm praying for you. I'm like, I hope, you're out of harm's way and everything. And, I mean, I understand it's a tough situation that you're in and everything, but, just keep your head up. Because, it is some tough times, especially for good people who are in those situations where, they feel like they can make a difference, but because of what's going on, it's hard for them to do that. You know what I mean? And I'm like, it's just, I understand. I see like both sides. You know what I mean? Like the cop standpoint, because there's been a lot of officers that came out and made videos and said, what the one cop did, I forget his fucking name, is fucked up. Was fucked up. It's murder. What he did was murder. And then it falls back on his colleagues to be like, yo, this man's telling you he can't breathe, get the fuck off his neck. You know what I mean? It's like, I can see why they're trying to come down on them as well, because they didn't take the action to be like, yo, he's telling you he can't fucking breathe, get off of him. Like, get off of his fucking neck. Like, come on, bro.
The Asian
like,
cop that was sitting next to him, basically watching, if he doesn't get in trouble,
no, they're all gonna get charged.
Yeah,
they're all gonna get charged.
So like, out of
he looked back, and like, oh,
he saw it, he witnessed it. He focused more on letting him do whatever as opposed to. I love the meme that came through that says, as for the Asian community, we do not accept like this guy in our community. I think it was really funny.
Bro, what was it, like 2 Asian dudes that are getting charged in that mingle?
And that never happens.
Dude, that shit is crazy,
but
bro.
going along with that, as far as the looting, I'm all for justice and let's make things right. But when you start looting and burning down buildings and all these other things, that kind of takes away from what we're trying to accomplish.
Going back to what he was saying as far as like rioting and looting and everything like that, I mean, I agree with the fact, obviously, protests and
I'm all for
I'm all for it, whatever.
Do it the right way.
But, especially with what has happened as far as like COVID and all of this, especially with like small business, mom and pop shops and all this stuff. Like if you're going and looting these places who are already losing money and stuff like that, like that's just nonsense. Like that's just stupidity, because those businesses are not going to be able to recover from, one, being closed for almost 2 fucking months, and now you're fucking damaging fucking property. You're damaging like shit that, these people are going to have to fucking pay out of pocket for, that, they might not have the money for it. You know what I mean? Fucking Target, whatever, they got the money for fucking days, whatever. You know what I mean? But that's not the point. The point is, if you're trying to fucking get your point across, peaceful protest does it. You know what I mean? I understand, yes, it's been going on for fucking years, for centuries. The black people are being oppressed, and they're getting shitted on like every fucking day and everything. Not just by police officers, just in general. You know what I mean? Exactly. So to me, I understand the whole protest and everything, but there's a way to fucking come together. There's power in numbers.
And like you said right there, powers in numbers, right? We're Latinos, different colors.
Yeah.
Of course. Unfortunately, even between Latinos, you got your light-skinned Latino, your Moreno. It's racism.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's call it how it is.
For sure.
And it falls back to even, African Americans. You got your light-skinned African Americans and your dark-skinned. Oh, you dark, I'm light. So
it's a class system.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's like the Dominican Republic.
Yeah, just like that. And when it comes to looting, right now, you can look all over the news or whatever. But you got your white people, they protest, they do it differently, more peaceful. Then we go out there and protest.
We want to steal shit. What the fuck's the point?
So it's like
you got like 4, like you'll see the videos, like you got like.
I understand. It's
come on.
hard. It's hard to justify that to the cause.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
If we got to stand up for something, let's do it the right way.
Yeah, because there is no Marcus Garvey, there is no Martin Luther King anymore. But eventually there needs to be somebody that has to stand up to take that mantle, to be that martyr. To be like, no, like people, like what people don't understand is there's a lot of people out there, because I know a lot of them and I follow a lot of them, that are those leaders that are trying. And they do a lot. They put out information. They put out knowledge, but people don't give a shit. And there's no one out there who's standing like, no, this is what you need to do. This is how you do it. Because again, it turns out to be like a narrative. Because like I said earlier, if the best way to do it is you do it where it hurts. If people of color or quote unquote minorities, right, all come together and literally for a whole week, 2 weeks, don't fucking buy shit, I guarantee you something will stop.
But I'm gonna tell you right now.
Way.
I'm gonna tell you right now. We gotta stop calling it minority.
Yeah.
We're not the freaking minority
We're not.
anymore. Blacks and Latinos, we're the freaking majority.
Yes.
So and that's
I agree.
I get pissed off when it comes minority. Nah, we're not the freaking minority.
Nah.
So if you want to
same fucking
change the narrative, we gotta come together and change it.
Yep.
Starting from the.
But first it starts here.
There you go. Starting here from the freaking, we out here, but we don't have the money to push that narrative.
No.
I'll be honest. This off topic or whatever. But
Yeah.
I hated LeVar Ball.
Yeah.
I hated him. But guess what? He was freaking smart.
He's a smart dude.
Because he was like, oh, I'm not gonna get my sons or whatever to go with Nike.
I'll make my own.
I'm gonna make my own,
But then they were $500 for fucking one pair of shoes.
And they sold out though.
And they were selling. You're right, but he did it the wrong way. But he had the right mentality.
Intention.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I look at
right,
Stefan
mentality.
Marbury as a better example, though.
That's a
That's
good
a
one.
good one.
Stefan Marbury,
Yeah.
Stefan Marbury, he flat out said he was famous in China for being a basketball
he's
player.
Yeah.
And he said,
fucking
listen,
superstar.
he's like, my sneakers, the Starberries, are made in the exact same factory as Jordan's,
Yep.
the
Right.
exact same material, right? But mine only cost like $50 American.
Shaq.
Sure.
Shaq's
Kmart.
shoes.
And it's sold in Kmart.
Yeah.
And,
Yes.
and everyone says
Kmart.
they're really good quality basketball sneakers.
You know, I can't remember the last time I was to Jordans. I probably freaking, I don't know.
Ask this motherfucker over here. He's got like
I got a
1,000
collection,
Yeah.
bro.
See, yeah, I'm not gonna take that away from you.
Yeah,
Because,
yeah, yeah.
you know, one of my friends at work, he loves he loves shoes. I'm not gonna say Jay, but shoes. I just refuse to spend that kind of money.
Right.
Like, have y'all seen The Last Dance?
Yeah,
Yeah.
It
yeah.
was great. I love Jordan.
Amazing.
I love his, his devotion, his
Oh my
passion.
goodness. That whole
But-
series just made me look at him in a whole different
Like good
light.
and bad.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
no, like
But the bad.
I
felt
had
with
it.
the
I
good.
had
That's
him
the
up
thing.
in a pedestal because I'm from Chicago. So I saw the last fucking final they had. I was like 8 years old.
Yeah.
So
96?
that to me,
Or
98.
yeah.
So that to me was like my everything. You know what I mean? Like I grew up everything Jordan. You know what I mean? Jordan
Posters,
was
yeah.
fucking God. You
I was
know
a
what I
Knicks
mean?
fan, so I used to.
So,
hate
but
Well,
but
you ain't like
but
that.
we never saw the side that they showed in the documentary.
Yeah.
The documentary showed you a fucking asshole Michael Jordan, a fucking
And you see, I didn't
a
look at it that way.
go-getter.
I didn't look at it that way.
Well,
Like, he
you know,
was- he
for
was
some
to an
people.
extent.
To me, it looked
But
like
it
this
pushed
dude.
everybody.
This dude was a
That's how I
go-getter.
looked at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this dude was
Like
a
I have to be an
go-getter
That's how I
asshole.
looked
I have to
at
be
it.
the villain for you to
to
succeed.
succeed.
And
Exactly.
that's the thing. He pushed everybody else to be
Yeah,
Exactly.
better.
Yeah, because people
So he
said
was-
that. Paxton said that. Paxton's like he was an asshole, but every single person,
Yeah.
he made every single person better.
Be
He
better.
didn't want to fail. He
Yeah.
wanted to succeed.
Like
Yeah.
your boy
and,
from
and that goes back to us as Latinos and
yeah.
African Americans. If we push each other together, we'll succeed.
Instead
Like, that's
of
the
fighting
problem.
each other.
We're like it's,
Yes.
Instead of fighting.
like
each
a lot
other.
of people of color are known for pulling others down.
Yeah,
If
for
you're
sure.
That's the
succeeding,
truth.
I'm gonna yank you down to come back
Because-
instead of clapping and be like I'm being proud, because then I know where my pedestal is. I want to get there and leapfrog. They leapfrog the opposite way,
Backwards.
You're right.
and
That's
everyone
true.
of color does that, which
That's
is
true.
which is very frustrating.
Not everyone.
That-
I can tell you one.
Who?
Indians.
That's different though. They're Asian. I mean like people like us, Latinos,
Hispanic.
black.
No, but I'm
Hispanics,
talking
black.
about minority. We're not
Well,
minority,
see,
but we're focused on
I
minority.
put them in a different bracket too, because like we talked about in the past, like we talked about how is it that most Asians, whether they're Asian or
Yeah.
like Indian,
Yeah.
right, they can come as immigrants or they can come here, and it's easy for them to get businesses. It's easy for them to get business licenses or business loans to start up their stuff. But then us who live here, who are citizens, like we're asked out from the word go.
Yeah.
Like there's people who've talked about that. They're like, if you're black and a woman, if you're black, a woman, and happen to be a lesbian, like the shit is like there's a check mark of like
Right.
if the
That's
more
like
you
me.
have off,
That's
you're
like me.
fucked.
That's
you
like
know?
me.
Yeah.
No, I'm black, Latino, immigrant. I'm fucked.
But then
You got the card stacked against you.
yeah. But then it's
Yeah.
like, what are you gonna like? You can either accept it and cry about it, or you push
Overcome it.
and overcome it. But then it's like, okay, now that you overcome it, you become, when your story is kind of out there more, you help somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely.
Help somebody else hears that, and that's kind of like what we talk about. The goal of here is like to try to do that influence of letting people kind of hear a different narrative, because like we said, we're the only ones in Atlanta doing anything like this, and to hear somebody who's black Dominican, we have other Dominicans that have come on, we have other Puerto Ricans, we have other black people that come on, and to kind of say their piece, but they're doing it eloquently.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother ballgame.
Yeah.
Because people could be like, oh shit, that makes sense. I was like, no, like stand up. Like I've shown him, like there's all these documentaries of this guy that I know he makes called Hidden Colors. And he has 5 of them. And he has all these professors and people of color, all of them are of color, talking about like the history. He's got one that he made about Haiti, the revolution in Haiti.
Yeah.
You know, there's people that I know. They call themselves Red Pill and Blue Pill. They're twins in Harlem. That's all they do. They have a radio station on Blautal called Know the Ledge Radio. They have all these people come in that are professors, and they talk about history. They talk about, you know, how you can grow your own food, you know, and doing these things for the community, for their own community.
But that's
for
like
the culture.
I was talking to him earlier. You know, I'm a vet,
Yeah.
so I try to help every vet that I come across. You know, I was talking to him about it. I'm all about helping the next person.
Absolutely.
And if you're Latino and you need help, I'm gonna try to help
Yeah.
you. You know, I try to do some research and expand. To me, that's the only way we're gonna
Yeah,
get ahead.
absolutely.
If you try to oppress whoever, we ain't going nowhere.
I feel
Gotta
like
lift them up.
as Latinos, sometimes we want to hold on to information that we know because, I don't know, it's just that mindset that we have that it's like, information is power, obviously, but if you hoard it, what good is it? Like, it's not good. If you have information that's going to help out, like, you know, other individuals in your circle, in your community, why not share it with them? Why not, like, spread the word? Why not be like, hey, you know what? If you're into this, this can help you. If you're into that, this can help you. Like, if you have the knowledge, you know what I mean? Not just saying, like, oh, just go on and ramble about bullshit. But, you know, if you have knowledge that can actually help the community, help, you know, certain individuals, why not? Why not do it? Like, it's time for, like I've said, it's time for us, like the new generation of, like, Latinos, of blacks, to change the narrative, change the outcome of our futures. You know what I mean? To be like, okay, well, I know this information, you know, whether it's financially, whether it's about fucking real estate, whether it's about education, whether it's about anything. Like, if we have that information, let's let it out. Let our people know. Let them get informed. Let them get educated. Because a lot of times, ignorance is what keeps us at that level of not being able to overcome obstacles, overcome, you know, situations that may come our way and everything. And like you said, we're not the minorities anymore. We're not. Like, we're getting to that point where, you know, color is the majority, you know, and it shouldn't even be about color anymore. It shouldn't. I mean, because, you know, you have mixed kids. Now you have, you know, like in our family, we got, you know, our nieces, and we got nieces who are mixed and everything. And it's like, you know,
there's a
it
statistic
is
like
what it
that,
is.
yeah.
Like, you should not look at color anymore. Like, that's just bogus. Like, why are you looking at color? Look at, if somebody's ignorant or not, you can fucking go off of that. That's perfectly fine. But if they're ignorant, what are you doing to educate them? What are you doing to fucking, you know, let them know, like, hey, this is not the way this is, you know, there's all this information here that I can provide to you that can maybe change your mindset on certain situations, certain things. You know what I mean?
Because you're not born ignorant. You know, you're not born racist.
You're not born racist.
That's how you're raised.
It's not.
You know? You're
All that
taught
shit is
exactly.
taught. All that shit is taught, man.
And not only about ignorance, you know, if you feel somebody's giving you the wrong information, it's up to you to go and research.
Absolutely.
And find out
research
the right information.
Yes.
And that's what a lot of us, don't do. Just because, you know, somebody says something, yeah, they might say it, but go back, research.
Okay.
It might be wrong.
I mean,
it might be wrong. You might be able to take a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and kind of form your own fucking point of view. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, it's all about research and doing your own fucking research and taking a little bit from here, a little bit from there, and kind of just like forming your own opinion.
That happens a lot in the news.
Yes.
Where they will like, I mean, you know, where you love or hate Trump, right?
Yeah.
There actually has been times where he will say something, but the sentence might be this long, but like CNN or somebody else might take just this part.
Yeah,
you know? But
for
that
sure.
happens.
That's
like
everything in
all
Yeah,
life.
it goes-
That's everything in
because
life.
that's what sparks their
Right,
fire, and
for
that's what
sure.
people kind of gravitate to.
Mhm.
You're like, wait a minute, and then people regurgitate it, you know, and people will start
Yeah, it's-
saying it. I'm
Let's
like,
put
come
it
on,
this
just
way.
do your research.
You know, when it comes to news, it's a business.
Yes.
So headline sells.
Yep.
So whether it be in CNN, Fox, whatever, it's up to you to find out the truth about what you want to know. So you got to
Look
research.
everywhere.
I
You have to
agree.
research. It's up to you, not the freaking news. So if you're a Trump supporter or not, whatever, it's up to you.
Yeah. There's a lot. I mean, I would say like when a lot of stuff was happening, like in the Middle East, some of the best news was actually coming from people who lived there. You know, they had cell phones, and it's illegal for them to like send out stuff.
Yeah.
But they were working with like Vice News, things like that, and contacting, going on the internet, sending videos of like, hey, this is what's really happening. They were showing you from the ground floor, like what was. I even did that when the riot happened, you know, in
Yeah.
Minneapolis. I was like, you know what? I was like, let me do a Google search. Like, I want to see how big this thing was. And it was only, and there was people like on Twitter that showed like drone footage.
Yeah.
And it's only like 2-3 blocks. It's like a perfect square. You know, it's not like the Rodney King riots or when they rioted here in Atlanta back in the day. I forgot what it was for, but like, you know, where they went down the streets,
Yeah.
and you're like, you were
Up the
fearful, yeah, and you were fearful that they were about to come in your neighborhood. You know, like this was only, you know, per section, but it's like how the news plays it off. They show you the one point.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
why I even talk about, like we were talking about, you know, when the CNN reporter, you know, got arrested. Like I sat back, I'm like, come on, that's just like, to me, I thought that was all a hoax. Like that, you don't necessarily know what to believe anymore. Like what's the coincidence that he had like a Hispanic last name, but he looked black, right? And
think
he
he's
happened,
Dominican.
yeah, and he happened to be arrested. And like I told him, I was like, yo, he was arrested, and he told me, he's like, no, everyone got arrested. I was like, great.
I was about to
Yeah.
say that. You know, my wife, you know, she was telling me, oh, he's the only one that got arrested. I was like, no,
No,
he wasn't the only one.
But that's how they show it to you.
Yeah.
It-
They
it-
focused on him because the camera was still on him. He, like, even if you look at the camera, he was centered.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
you know?
he was.
And then he walked away.
No, they
So
took
they-
him off.
Yeah, they took him
Yeah,
off, but
yeah,
they
yeah,
showed
yeah,
him
yeah.
taking it off, and then they turned around and showed the one guy, and then they showed whoever. But every time on CNN, like I watched CNN this morning,
Yeah.
every time it wasn't about everyone else; it was about him.
Yeah.
you know?
Well, I saw the whole clip
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
CNN as well.
But it's-
and they show everybody.
They showed everybody, but throughout the day, the focus was on him. They kept on talking to him until talking to him.
Well,
talking about
they
his
did. They
narrative.
did because they even brought up where, you know, he was the only black or Hispanic out there, and then there was a white guy that worked
That didn't
with them
get arrested.
that didn't get arrested.
Yeah.
So that I think that's why they were focusing
Yeah.
on that point. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
They're
it's
like, wait a minute, you know.
prejudice.
Because,
Which-
like you said, you know, they have a job. The press's job is to bring news. You know,
Yeah.
like bring fucking headlines and shit. So obviously, this guy, he's melanated. He's, you know, the first one to get handcuffed and fucking taken off. That shit's gonna catch on like that.
Like
That's the
wildfire.
first. That's the snapshot right there. Like, hold up. Like, this dude was the first one to get fucking handcuffed and taken away, and he's melanated. Fuck,
That's what I'm
man.
saying, like, it
let the
almost sounds-
fucking world burn.
Like it almost sounds a little too coincidental.
But then you
know?
then you look and you watch the whole
Yeah.
clip, and everybody gets arrested and everything, but they don't show you that. All the headline shows is the melanated dude in handcuffs getting taken away, and then, you know, fucking everything sparks up.
But here's the idea of doing research. Find
And
out,
that's
like
where
if you
research
do
comes in.
research and find out, okay, how many times has this guy been on, like actually like doing the news live on CNN? Like when you start doing, like I don't know that number, but then I start curious because what time, like around 10 o'clock or so, I forgot who's there. I usually watch them all the time. Never seen this dude in my life.
I see it.
How many times have you seen him? I don't remember ever really seeing him.
I have
Yeah,
quite a
he-
few
he-
times.
Quite
Yeah,
a few
he-
times.
yeah,
So
I've
that
seen him.
because I wondered that. I'm like,
Yeah,
all
yeah,
right.
I've seen it quite
like
a few
if
times,
he
yeah.
was there a couple times, okay, cool. But if he
I remember,
randomly
like,
popped out of nowhere, I'm
You know,
like, wait,
he
that's a
speak
little weird.
perfect and all that. I'm like,
Yeah,
he had a
he-
Latino last
Been
name.
around.
Yeah, I've seen
they-
it quite a few times.
Because they mentioned to say like how he's worked there for like 8 years and
No, I've
how
seen it
he
quite a few
originally
times.
started as an intern
Yeah.
and he built his way up.
He looks young, so
Yeah,
but yeah,
he's
he's
a
been there
young
quite.
cat,
which
but
is
I've
good.
seen him.
Yeah.
I've seen it quite a few times.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. That's
to
what I was
that
saying.
extent.
Like you do your research. Like, all right, that's because people could automatically do that, but if you see him, then all right,
Yeah.
you automatically
Then
know.
you think,
okay,
oh, it's
he's
it's
there. There's not
a
something behind
stage.
it. Yeah.
But
It's
yeah,
still
I
a
seen
little
it.
odd though. Definitely.
With
No,
him was
Talking about the guy who was jogging, and
Oh.
they tried to do the citizens arrest
Yeah,
him.
that to me, that in itself, man, it's a whole different fucking rabbit hole. That it's like, man, like I don't even want to touch it because we'll be on for like another 2 fucking hours.
It's
But
it's a double-edged sword. I look at it that way.
not even.
How?
bro.
No, not
like,
for that.
Not,
I'm talking
not
about
even.
because I know you left for a second, but he was saying how the idea that enough is enough, and like if you protest normally,
Mhm.
right? People kind of ignore, but then like sometimes you have to be
you
violent.
have
That's
to
what
have
Malcolm
that
X was about.
violence.
Malcolm
Yeah.
X was
You
about
have
any
to
means
have
necessary.
that violence in order to
but
be
what
understood.
the reason why I
I-
said it was a double-edged sword was because you look at it where a lot of people that are not melanated look at you and they don't care. So if you protest normally, they think you are a problem. It's been said when Black Lives Matter protested, none of them were violent. They were out there protesting for a reason because of what's been going on. For the same exact reason why this person died is the reason why Black Lives Matter did what they did, right? And people always had something to say to either to try to circumvent or to be opposite of what they're doing and not taking a step to realize, you know what, they're right, right? That people's lives are matter because you're by them doing that, that means that you're saying that their life really doesn't matter, right? So then now when somebody is violent and they start doing something that's more of a violent matter, now it escalates where now I'm fearful of you. Now since you're doing this that's violent, I almost feel like I have to protect myself from all people that are like you. It becomes like this psychological. So it's like no matter what you do, you're kind of asked out in a weird way.
But you know, we could go back to shit, I'm not gonna go that far back. Let's
Go
say
ahead.
how America was built,
Yeah.
right?
Hands of slaves, basically.
Okay, now let's go back to the white America, right? How it was built.
On the backs of slaves.
Pretty much.
I'm talking about the history books,
Okay.
how America was.
They don't tell you though.
They're not gonna say how it was truly built. I'm talking about as far as the founding fathers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Besides all them being Masons.
They were all slave owners.
Yeah, they were all, but they protested, right? And they did it what? Quietly, right? And then what they ended up doing?
Right.
Violence.
Yeah.
That's how they became free,
Yeah, it's true.
or that's how we, America, became free.
Civil War.
So you know,
People always said that they would. Don't be surprised if another
Yeah.
Civil War happens.
That's the thing. Like,
yeah, you know that's. You know,
I
I'm just
honestly-
going,
It's true though. It's
You
true.
know,
no, yeah, but I mean, I honestly see a division happening.
And I see it happening.
I especially now, because you know everything right now is pushing everybody to pick a side. You know what I mean? Especially with the president that we have right now.
yes.
You know what I mean? It's now it's just black and white. That's the narrative. You're either here or you're there. And you know, if you're not here, you're against us. And you know, you gotta form your own fucking group type deal. So that doesn't make any fucking sense in order for growth to happen. You know what I mean? In order for growth to happen, you have to exchange ideas. You have to, you know, come to a conclusion, come to some kind of agreement of, okay, like, yeah, I understand your side, I get it and everything, but here's my side. So, you know, this is what I think and everything. So why don't we just kind of, get that shit together, kind of, figure it out, and go on about our business. You know what I mean? But that's unrealistic. Like, and it's sad to think that it's unrealistic because it's such a simple matter as far as like, let me hear you out, let me see where you come from, and I'm gonna tell you where I come from, and let's kind of exchange, ideas, culture, whatever the case may be, in order to come to a sane ground and move forward.
And a lot of people don't know that, especially Trump supporters, where they feel that he's the all, be all,
End all.
end all.
Right.
And I'll be honest. At first, when he started going, I was all, oh, he sounds good. He's a freaking crook.
Yeah.
That's what he sells.
Yeah, he's a salesman.
At first he was like, oh, I'm gonna do this for the military. I'm like, oh, he sounds good. He sounds good. But I didn't vote for him. I didn't. But he sounded good. And now that he's in power, it's like, fuck. He needs to get out.
Somebody needs to take his fucking.
And as Latinos, black, whatever, we need to do our research, and he needs to go. I don't know if I don't know who you support.
I don't support anyone.
I
really
can't remember the last time I fucking voted, but it to me it's like damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Well, any politician, they all crooks.
Yeah,
I'll be
all
honest.
fucking
they all
crooks,
crooks,
man. Like, come on, like it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that shit out. They all got their own agendas. They all got their own purposes, and yeah, they may say, "Oh, we're for the people," but at the end of the day, they're for themselves.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Because you're trying to win. It's a race.
And it's a job. Like, I mean, let's be real. It's their job. Like, that's how they get paid. That's how they feed their families. So they're gonna feed you the bullshit that you want to hear, as long as they get to stay in fucking office. As long as they get to keep their job.
And they forget what their job is.
Exactly. So it gets to a repetitive state to where it's like, okay, I'll just tell them what they want to fucking hear, and they'll vote me back in. Simple shit.
People that voting Trump back in, these dumb motherfuckers saying, oh, I'm not taking salary. Have y'all looked at all the trips? Have y'all looked into where he's staying? I understand if you were trying to help America and share the wealth. I'm going to freaking Mar-a-Lago right now. Next time I go to freaking mom and pops over here, but he ain't doing that.
It's going back into his pocket.
Damn right. He's making way more money than his salary.
Those are like small. I whether somebody loves them or hate them, right? Again, it goes back to research. 4 minutes. It goes back to research where you talk about how do you research? How many times did he lie? He's lied more than probably mostly any president. And these are facts. Like thousands of lies, right? The amount of money that has been spent just to almost remodel Mar-a-Lago because he stays there. He doesn't stay in the White House. He stays there more, right? And guess who pays for it? Taxpayers, right? Millions and millions of dollars, right? So there's a lot of different things that go on that you can literally talk about. It's just ridiculous. But people were like, I'm still. How many times did he said something either racist, ignorant, or something that you damn well is false, but you eat it up anyway? But people are still like, yeah, I'm still gonna vote for him. So what does it say about you as a person, or as an American, where if you believe in America, right? It's not white America. It's America. For everybody.
And that's I think where a lot of people get fucked up, because you think America and a lot of people think white. You know what I mean? And it's not the fucking case anymore.
You know what's funny? I got, like, me being Latino, like, I speak Spanish whenever I go out, and I'm dying for the day somebody comes up to me. You're freaking America.
Too.
Like I got a script already in my head
Yes.
where I'm like, oh,
Like,
for
this is
real.
America.
Too. Me
No,
too.
I'm gonna be like, I'm sorry. Where you from?
Yeah, what's
Right.
your category?
And then I'm gonna go into your history.
Yeah.
Fuck mine. I'm gonna go into your history. So you Native American? Where you
Yep.
came from?
It's
Yep.
like, Africans have been here before.
Yeah.
You know?
Like this is not your country.
Yep.
Shit. If we want to be honest, Mexicans were here before you.
Yep.
But
They
it's,
own. But a lot of people don't know their history, and that's the problem.
well, that's the thing that we've talked about in the past about America in general. America is probably the only country that I know of, right, that really has no true history.
Yeah.
Because everyone's a melting pot of different stuff, everyone comes from someplace else. So if you're from Spain, you got thousands of years. If
Yeah.
you're from Italy, you got thousands of years. Even if you're from, Australia, Africa, Russia, you got thousands of years. Asia, China has a fuck ton of years, right?
Except us. We got screwed.
Yeah.
They killed our people.
We got
Yeah,
the short
and,
end.
well, they always say that, African Americans are one of the only people who don't have a culture nor history because it was taken from them.
He was.
No one really knows where you come from. Me being Puerto Rico, I could talk to my mom, my dad, my grandparents, and vice versa, and go down the line. You could do the same thing. Him being Mexican,
But
you could do
even
the same
that,
thing.
it stops.
Yeah.
Because they killed all our people. All our Tainos.
yeah, all the Taino Indians. that's where
our
we come
native
from.
people, they all got killed off.
By the
So we really don't know. We
Europeans.
still a mix.
Yeah.
We really don't know where we come from.
Especially like Puerto Rico. Yeah, that's true because
Yeah, we
Haitians
don't
and
know.
Dominicans are identically the same thing.
Basically.
But because of the French, because of Spain,
Yep.
it's separated.
But it still goes back to it was one island, all Tainos.
Yep.
Christopher Columbus came over.
Fucked everything up.
Brought the seas, everything, killed all our natives, and then you got your African Americans, your Spaniards, and that's how we became who we are.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because most Puerto Ricans were made either from being, raped, pillaged by Spanish. You have Dutch. You have who else is there?
Vikings.
But
and shit.
Denmark, I think was there too. Because a couple people had El Moro, right? But then you
Yeah.
also had the slaves. That's why, like, if you go to Piñones, which is not that far from El Moro, that's where all the slaves stayed. That's literally a town of nothing but people as dark as you. They're all Puerto Rican, but that's where the slaves used to stay.
How you been to Humacao?
Yeah.
You been there, right?
Yeah.
Then you got dead ass. You got Mambiche Blanco and Mambiche Prieto,
Mm.
and that's what it is. You got all your Prietos
Yeah.
and all your Blancos, and I'm talking about less than 0.25 miles
Yeah, that's
away from
crazy.
each other.
So, I guess in closing, like you being, an officer, like what kind of advice could you give people, especially like in the future, like kind of like what they can be doing forward? What are things to look out for? Kind of like what's that last word that you kind of want to give to people? I know that's kind of broad, but
Honestly, police officers, they just like us, know your laws. A lot of them don't know their laws. So just know your law. That's all I can say.
That's good advice because I feel like everyone should know what they're entitled to, what the law is, because like you said, a lot of police officers, they're in the routine every day, fucking whatever. They might forget, what the fuck they're actually supposed to do. You know what I mean? So you as a citizen can be like, nah, motherfucker, like this is what's going on, and this is the law, and your responsibility is to uphold the law. You know what I mean? So hold them accountable for whatever it is that they're trying to get you for.
in a respectful way.
In a respectful way,
Yes.
absolutely. In a,
Because a lot of people try to do dumb
cordial.
shit. And
I mean,
that's
you
where
don't
you
you
get in
don't have
trouble.
to be buddies with them, but in a cordial, respectful way. However, you would treat anybody else that certain way. That way,
the less amount of
period.
tension, the better.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
I mean,
because the thing is
if
that
you're educated in what you're saying and then I mean, you don't have to get loud. You don't have to get worked up or anything. Like, if you get your point across how you're trying to do it, in a respectful manner, they're gonna catch on to it. You know, that's their job. You know what I mean? So
Just
it
take
is
them,
what
get a
it
Black's
is.
Law dictionary, you know, and study a little bit, or just do some research.
Do some research, man.
So on that note, thank you again for joining us. I hope
Thank you
I
for
hope you had a good
coming.
time.
I
You know,
did.
we truly appreciate the fact
sure.
that, you know, that it worked out this way, where what you see, what's been going on in society, we got an opportunity to get somebody who was an officer, you know, to come on and kind of give their insights. So hopefully the people who are listening could, you know, really take that more to heart, you know, and a lot of stuff you said was golden,
Yeah, for
you know,
sure.
which is really important. So on that note, if you like what you hear, follow us on Instagram at podcast ALV.
And to check out the full video, click the link in the bio on Instagram and check out the full videos. Also, remember to check us out on Apple Podcasts and also now on Spotify. And you can find those links in the website.
Yep. Or go to ALVpodcast.com, where you can listen to all the episodes there as well, and all the YouTube videos, and all our links are there too. Till next time, guys. See you.
Peace.